Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their spiritual awakening process. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 things I think you should know about tonight's super new moon here on October 16th, 2020. It feels great to be back, I must say, my friends. I'll get right into it. Number 1, new beginnings. Now, this is something a lot of astrologers say that are related to new moons. This is nothing you don't know. What I mean by that in particular is that new beginnings oftentimes start out with a somewhat rocky transition, where you're riddled with uncertainty. You feel like you're kind of in a river, and the river's been speeding up, and there's all these twists and turns and unforeseen things, and your mind is trying to manage everything. You don't know what's coming up ahead. You're dodging rocks and branches, and you know you're in a good river. You kind of have a sense of where you're going. Things are improving. Things are getting good. But again, you're in kind of a racy river, and it can be a little bit nutty. I'll give an example. Right now, as you can see, this is my new house, and we bought here in Sedona like 2 months ago. But we're not really living in it yet. As you can see, it's like it's got some work to do. There's a bunch of paint tests back there on the wall, and we sort of know where it's going to lead. We see the vision, but the vision is not yet complete, and it can be a little bit like where it can breed a lot of impatience and a lot of anxiety, and sometimes it's almost like you're balancing all the other elements of your life while trying to make this transition that you don't know how it's going to look exactly. And the combination of balance, juggling your life and trying to create the new life, it can be kind of nutty. But I've learned, my friend, and my advice to you, because I've been through these transitions a few times myself. Many of them have been documented here on YouTube. If you remember, I used to live in a little RV with all my family. I've learned to really revel in them and take a moment to enjoy them, because there is no completion. There is no once everything's settled, things are fine, because life is like that river. It never stops moving. The other day I found myself, it was our first night here a couple nights ago, and we had nothing in here, mind you. It's not at all. There's like nothing here really. And I was trying to sleep. My wife and I were trying to sleep on these cheap little mattresses that we bought for my children. And we were tired from moving a bunch of stuff. We were sitting there on the hard floor, these little mattresses. And I heard, as I was trying to go to sleep, chirp. What the hell is that? Chirp. There's a freaking smoke alarm that had a dead battery or something. And it was like making that beepy noise. If you're like me, I can't sleep if that's the case. Sure enough, it's the only smoke alarm that's where I couldn't even reach it. I had to like makeshift this. I had to use that thing behind me, actually, if you can see it, and climb up on the wall and rip it out of the wall. But my point is, I found myself in that moment frustrated, like, oh my goodness, is this transition ever going to freaking end? And then I stopped myself and said, you know what, dude? This is funny. At the very least, it's a good email, a good story for your YouTube videos. So I've learned to kind of not take life so seriously in these transitions and try to have fun during them. But if you feel like you're stressed out at times, that's okay. That's part of this fast forward moving energy taking you to bigger and better things. Okay? Number 2, I wrote down Temperance. This is one of the main major arcana tarot cards, and it really means to be wise and balanced in your mind and in your approach to life. It reminds me of old patterns I had involving finances. Some of you might know there are times where abundance starts to kind of flow in, where everything you do works, everything you touch turns to gold, as they say. You're getting checks in the mail, you're getting bonuses from work, and it's like wow, 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 wow. And you feel like you're in the flow. You feel like you're connected. You're like, yeah, this is how life is. I'm in the flow of abundance. And then there are times where nothing seems to be working. Random bills are coming in the mail, and it's like the exact opposite. A lot of money is going out, not much is coming in, and it can breed a lot of fear and uncertainty, okay? But what I've learned is to be balanced in both situations. Now, when we're having one of those contraction periods, and a lot of money is going out, and you don't know when it's going to come back in, I've learned to trust. I've learned to remember that the sun will shine again, and things will work and start moving once again. And it's okay, I can trust. At the same time, when things are going great, I've learned not to go crazy and just spend and get into all these different types of commitments, because I know the clouds will roll in again, and I want to be kind of smart. I want to be kind of patient and really just be wise because it's this fast moving river-like energy of this new moon. It can be kind of disorienting. It can make you feel a little bit confused, and we can get kind of caught away in the fear, that the streams of fear. We can also get caught away in the passion and become ungrounded and get all wild. And it's important to check in with yourself, tap into your wisdom, and then act accordingly, okay? This third one, I had the sense to write in there just before making this video, actually. I wrote down relationship harmony. This is actually going to be a chapter in my new book I've been writing. And right there in the beginning of the book, I say, I know a lot of you are skeptical. A lot of you going through an awakening are experiencing the exact opposite of relationship harmony, right? In fact, you're probably experiencing a lot of relationship dissonance, a lot of relationship disharmony, a lot of relationship stress. But in the book, I explain it's that when you start to raise your frequency, all distortions, all things that are in a sense blocking your ability to experience real depth of love and connection and presence within your relationship will come up to the surface to be dealt with. And sometimes it's them, and you're waking up to like how they're behaving and how they're showing up in the relationship, and you're seeing, wow, this is unbalanced. I'm putting in way more work than they are. I can see now how they really feel about me, and their love is not being reciprocated. And sometimes it's within you. Sometimes there's changes you have to make for the exact same reason. But the point is, it's important to understand that the strain within certain relationships are going to make you closer with those people and closer with yourself, more in alignment with yourself, so you can attract even new relationships that are even a better match if need be. I had something else I wanted to say. More specifically, this is something you might notice. This kind of comes from the advice of a book I read this morning. I read this book called The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite authors. And there's this piece today, ironically, I think written by Marcus Aurelius, and it talks about always giving people the benefit of the doubt. What he means by that is sometimes there'll be people in your life where you're presented with a scenario, and at face value, it looks like you're really being there's a lot of injustice, maybe you're being screwed over. And a lot of times our mind will just go to the worst case scenario and just start sort of mentally judging and condemning this person. And it can be tricky sometimes when these scenarios happen with people who have been in your life a long time, people you really, really love, and solid relationships. But I think this advice is very important at this time, to really give people the benefit of the doubt. And understand that there are always two sides to the story. There might be a role you're playing in the scenario that you're unaware of, that this particular situation might reflect to you, which of course in the end will lead to greater relationship harmony. But again, let's bring back that word temperance. You also have to be true to yourself and stand up for yourself, and not allow relationships to be so unbalanced. And I understand relationships can be one of the harshest teachers of all the different human things we can experience here on earth, and yet they're the best teachers. They really bring us into our hearts and into our power. So if you're going through some relationship harmonizing, you're not alone, my friend. Remember the temperance. Remember your own worth. Remember to give people the benefit of the doubt, and really to understand there are two sides of every coin. Number 4, wrote down 2 words here: fear purge. A lot of us, for some time now, have been really, maybe even to our own surprise, confronted with these really deep fears and anxieties and just feelings of unrest coming up to the surface. in a very powerful way. And for some of us, we've gone so deep where we're realizing it's not just childhood trauma we're dealing with, where a lot of us are dealing with literally ancestral trauma, ancestral fears, our own past or parallel life fears, karmic stuff, all this extremely deep soul stuff your soul has been carrying is now coming up to the surface to be dealt with. And I'll tell you why. It's a very important and very positive reason why that is. Because when this happens, it can be very unnerving and confusing, and there can just be a lot of fear in our life, and that's never comfortable, okay? But there's a reason why that happens. And it reminds me of something that my friend Aaron told me about. He has a therapist, a psychologist named Doug. And Doug said to Aaron, he said, Aaron, I want you to find your happy place. Okay, and Aaron's like, okay, well, what do you mean by your happy place? And Doug helped Aaron find some semblance of a happy place, meaning when you feel safe, when you feel connected, when you feel love. And when Doug had Aaron do that, you know what happened to Aaron? A whole bunch of fear and energy started coming up. Because when we get to our happy place within ourselves and within life, it's like all these once repressed and suppressed energies that have been with us all along, we've been distracted in our minds, it all finally is there's enough space for it to start coming up. So the more of these fears you're dealing with, the deeper the level of fears you're dealing with, the closer you're getting, my friend, to your happy place. This brings me, my friends, to number 5. The whole point of this whole video, the whole point of this powerful new moon energy, breaking free. This is a time that you might start to find yourself questioning your fears and realizing that it's a lot of times what stops us or blocks us in life is nothing but our own fears. A lot of times the things that we think are in the way or preventing us from being happy or moving forward or attracting that soulmate or having the abundance and the freedom, it's nothing circumstantial. It is only fear. It is only illusion and misperception. And these illusions, this bondage has been stopping all of us from living our best lives this entire time. And this new moon gateway is so powerful that it's not going to necessarily make things easy for you, but it's going to wake you up enough to start seeing through the fog, seeing through the fear and questioning it and realizing this is complete BS. There's no reason to hold myself back in this circumstance. It makes no sense. And you know what? I'm sick of living in fear. I'm going for it. And honestly, that's exactly why I'm here today in front of you on YouTube. A lot of it has been fear holding me back. As weird as that sounds, I started to feel this deep feeling months ago that if I continue on this YouTube path, I'm going to lose sight of what's important to me, my family. There's nothing more important to me in this world than my family. And I started having all these thoughts. Like, if you keep going on YouTube, man, you're going to get more and more popular. You're going to be an absent, distant father, and something you're not going to live the life you came here to live, and your family's going to miss you. And I know you're thinking like, well, bro, you can do both. I can do both, but that fear was so strong that I was like, I'm not even going to question this fear. I'm not taking any chances with my family. Nothing will get in the way of my family. So I was like, okay, guys, I got to stop. I got to stop the YouTube as much as it pains me. But then I realized, like, okay, things are okay. It felt a little off not being here talking to you. But then I noticed that same type of fear was showing up in other areas of my life. And it was just, I realized this is just bullshit. It's just fear, Victor. And I started to kind of like question it. And yesterday, deciding kind of on the fly to make a YouTube video might not seem like a big deal, but for me, it was a huge breakthrough. It was literally me choosing to ignore my fears and paranoias and break free and do something I know I'm meant to do and know I love to do. But what happens, my friends, and you might have noticed this yourself, is that your fear doesn't like to let go. And the more you question it, the more you test it, the more you push beyond it, the tighter it can squeeze. And I found myself last night, in a sense, manifesting a bit of my fears, where it was like almost like 7, 8 o'clock. I go to bed early, almost bedtime for me. And I realized, oh my goodness, I forgot my charger. I forgot my charger to my laptop, and there was like 9% left. And I knew there was no way that's gonna fly. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've never forgotten my charger. It's such a bonehead thing. I couldn't believe it. And it was like getting late. 7 o'clock is late in Sedona. And then everything shuts down at like 6, 7 o'clock. And I was thinking, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I gotta get a charger. So I drove all the way across town to West Sedona to Staples that was open. And sure enough, even though I called and said, do you have a charger? They didn't have a charger. They had like the old version. And they said, well, there might be something over there in aisle 14. I went to aisle 14. And I was like, I got this little thing that looked like a charger. I went back and I said, I don't know if this is it. They didn't know. I bought it. I went to my car. I opened it up. No, it's just half the charger. I needed the cord. I ran back into freaking Staples. Said, I need the cord, guys. Help me out. Well, they didn't seem very motivated to help me. Sure enough, I didn't find the cord. And I was thinking, man, what a test from the universe here, Because in the past, I would have seen those as signs to not do YouTube, as negative synchronicity that I was going off my path, but I knew better. I knew to just hold my frame. I knew these were my fears playing out. One last ditch effort to keep me down. And I went back there and I said, you guys, I couldn't find the cord, but maybe you can find it for me, because I don't really know what the hell I'm looking for anyway. Sure enough, aisle 13, nothing. Aisle 14, nothing. They peek around aisle 15, there's one cord left. And I was like, yes. It was such a little victory that they couldn't appreciate. But to me, it was like, I will no longer let fear stand in my way of walking my path. But it's not easy sometimes, and that's why I shared that story. Of course, that's only a personal metaphor, but just understand we're living in a time now where you really can start to question your fears, and you might start to realize, especially right now, that a lot of what's been holding you back is nothing more than that, nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It's like we've been living in this thick smog, trying to judge ourselves, judge our reality, make conclusions, and make a life for ourselves, but it's so hard. And it's not that the fear is going away so much, rather you are starting to rise above it. You are starting to literally ascend above the fear, and as you do, it's getting like more and more dissipated, and you're saying, wow, I've been living in this smog of fear my whole life, and there's nothing. It is so priceless as a person, as a soul, to really break free that experience when you realize you've been held captive and it's all been nonsensical fear, and you can choose to rise and soar above it. Imagine the implication of going through life untethered by your fear. It's amazing. But that experience of testing and breaking through your fear is absolutely priceless. I imagine myself like one of my favorite movies is A Shawshank Redemption. I think what's his name? Tim Robbins, one of the main characters. He had to climb through this like little tunnel of filth, a mile long or something. It probably took him all night. It was disgusting. And this is after 20 years of chipping away. But there was a scene in the movie when he climbed out of there all muddy and gross. And he stood up and it's raining on him. And he's like this. And it's like, that's the feeling. That's the freedom you can have today. And the only thing that's been stopping you is your fear. And you're finally wising up to seeing the writing on the wall. Okay? My friend, I could keep ranting and going on because it feels good to be back, and I love you all. If you want to stay in contact between YouTube videos, which I do believe there will be more, I'll leave a link down below. I send out a free awakening newsletter about 3 or 4 times a week. Same thing, inspired messages to help you with your awakening in written format. There's a link down below. Check it out if you want. And with that said, I wanted to say thank you all so much for your part in this process. You motivate me. We are in this together. And even though a lot of the different challenges you go through might feel like you're alone in them, and they're very just unique and strange, you're not alone in them. And this video, this community, I can see right there is proof of it. So just know that you're not alone. And together we are changing the world from the inside out. So thank you. God bless you all. It's been great. Seriously. Much love to you all. Hope to see you soon. Peace.